Imagine a country so powerful that the sun literally never sets on it. No matter where you look on Earth, somewhere the British flag is flying. From Canada to India, from Australia to Africa, at its height the British Empire ruled nearly a quarter of the world's population and controlled almost a quarter of the Earth's land. But how did a relatively small island on the edge of Europe grow into the largest empire the world had ever seen? And why did that incredible power eventually disappear? This is the story of the rise and fall of the British Empire. Today, many people think of Great Britain as a historic superpower, but it was not always that way. During the 15th and 16th centuries, Spain and Portugal dominated the world. Their explorers sailed to the Americas, Africa, and Asia, bringing enormous wealth back to Europe. England watched from the sidelines. Gradually, however, the country began building its own position. English sailors explored new trade routes and established the first colonies in North America. A major turning point came in 1588 when England defeated the Spanish Armada. It was a decisive victory that proved England was becoming a serious naval power. From that moment on, England increasingly turned its attention to the world's oceans. Many people believe the British Empire was built mainly through wars, but the most important factor was trade. In 1600, the British East India Company was founded. On paper, it was simply a trading company. In reality, it grew into one of the most powerful organizations in history. The company traded in tea, silk, cotton, spices, and later opium. Over time, the company gained more and more power. It maintained its own army, operated its own fleet, and even governed entire territories. During some periods, the East India Company had more soldiers than many European countries. Trade transformed England from a relatively small kingdom into an economic powerhouse. And wherever trade expanded, soldiers and administrators eventually followed. Of all Britain's colonies, India was by far the most valuable. It wasn't just another territory on the map, it became the economic heart of the British Empire and earned the nickname the Jewel in the Crown. Rich in cotton, tea, spices, silk, and other valuable resources, India generated enormous wealth for Britain. The British East India Company gradually expanded its control through trade, military victories, and political alliances with local rulers, eventually governing vast parts of the subcontinent. To strengthen their hold, the British built railways, roads, ports, and telegraph lines. While these projects improved transportation and trade, they also made it easier to move British troops and resources across the country. However, many Indians faced heavy taxes, economic hardship, and growing political oppression. These tensions exploded during the Indian Rebellion of 1857. Although Britain crushed the uprising and took direct control of India, resistance never truly disappeared. Instead, it planted the seeds of a powerful independence movement, one that would eventually challenge the world's greatest empire. But before that happened, the British Empire itself was about to reach its greatest height. By the early 20th century, the British Empire had become the largest empire in human history. Around 1920, it stretched across nearly 35 million square kilometers and ruled over almost 1/4 of the world's population. British territories could be found on every inhabited continent, including Canada, Australia, New Zealand, India, large parts of Africa, and numerous islands across the Caribbean and Pacific. This global reach gave Britain control over some of the world's most important trade routes. Goods, resources, and people moved constantly between colonies, making London the center of global commerce. The Royal Navy protected these routes with unmatched strength, allowing Britain to maintain its dominance for decades. People often said, the sun never sets on the British Empire, because daylight was always shining on at least one British territory somewhere in the world. But managing such a massive empire would soon become increasingly difficult. The British Empire influenced far more than politics and trade. It spread the English language, British education, legal systems, and parliamentary government across much of the world. Railways, ports, and communication networks connected distant colonies more efficiently than ever before. London became the financial capital of the world, and British businesses operated on nearly every continent. Sports such as football, cricket, and rugby also spread through the empire and remain popular today. However, British rule was not welcomed everywhere. Many colonies experienced economic exploitation, high taxes, and limited political freedom. While Britain became wealthier, many local communities felt they received little benefit from imperial rule. As these frustrations grew, calls for independence became louder than ever. When World War I began in 1914, Britain called upon millions of soldiers from across the empire. Men from India, Canada, Australia, New Zealand, and Africa fought alongside British troops. Although Britain emerged victorious in 1918, the cost was enormous. The war left the country deeply in debt and weakened its economy. At the same time, many people in the colonies began asking an important question. If they had fought for Britain's freedom, shouldn't they also have the right to govern themselves? Nationalist movements started gaining momentum throughout the empire, especially in India. The Second World War placed even greater pressure on Britain than the First. The country suffered devastating bombings, lost countless lives, and spent enormous amounts of money fighting the war. Although Britain emerged on the winning side in 1945, victory came at a heavy price. Its economy was weakened, its industries struggled to recover, and maintaining a vast global empire became increasingly difficult. At the same time, the United States and the Soviet Union emerged as the world's new superpowers, shifting the balance of global power away from Britain. Across the empire, independence movements gained momentum as people demanded the right to govern themselves. In 1947, India became independent after decades of political activism and peaceful resistance led by Mahatma Gandhi and other nationalist leaders. It was one of the most significant moments in British history because India had long been considered the empire's most valuable colony. After India's independence, many other colonies across Africa, Asia, and the Caribbean followed. Throughout the 1950s and 1960s, Britain's overseas territories gradually became independent nations, bringing an end to the largest empire the world had ever known. Although the British Empire officially came to an end, its influence continues to shape the modern world. English became one of the most widely spoken languages and remains the international language of business, science, technology, and diplomacy. Many countries still use legal systems, parliamentary governments, and public institutions that were originally introduced during British rule. The empire also helped spread sports such as football, cricket, rugby, and tennis across the globe. Railways, ports, and infrastructure built during the colonial period are still used in many former British territories today. However, the empire's legacy is also deeply debated. While some credit it with modernization, global trade, and institutional development, others point to economic exploitation, colonial oppression, and the lasting effects of foreign rule. Because of this, the British Empire remains one of the most influential and most controversial empires in human history. From a small island nation on the edge of Europe, Britain built the largest empire the world had ever seen. Through naval dominance, global trade, and colonization, it expanded its influence across continents and shaped the lives of billions of people. But history has shown that no empire lasts forever. Two devastating world wars, economic decline, and the growing demand for independence gradually ended Britain's global dominance. Colony after colony gained its freedom, transforming the political map of the world. Even today, the legacy of the British Empire can be seen in language, law, education, government, sports, and culture across every continent. Whether viewed as a symbol of progress or a reminder of colonial rule, its impact on world history remains impossible to ignore. Understanding the rise and fall of the British Empire helps us better understand how the modern world came to be.